Hi, my dears. Today we will pass about selection. Selection, it is the one of the main and modern science in nowadays, which helps us to get and produce new type of organism. Selection generally refers to the pressure on cells and organisms to evolve. Selection breeding is the science dealing with the breeding of new and improvement of existing breeds, plant varieties, strains of microorganisms. There are types of selection. First, it is natural selection. It is the process by which favorable heritable traits become more common in successive generations of a population of producing organisms, and unfavorable heritable traits become less common due to differential reproduction of genotypes. Artificial selection is the second. This is the process by which humans use animal breeding and plant breeding to selectively develop particular phenotypic traits, of course, choosing which typically animal or plants, males and females, will sexually reproduce and have offspring together. Domesticated animals are known as breeds, normally bred by professional breeders, while domesticated plants are known as varieties, cultigens, or cultivars. Natural selection. They may show the changes of big shape in a Galapagos fish. If you remember, Darwin traveled to the Galapagos Island to observe different type of species. Natural selection has caused one species to evolve into different, distinct species. The essential idea, the diversity of life has evolved and continues to evolve by natural selection. Artificial selection. Selection by humans for breeding of useful traits from the natural variation among different organisms. From the picture, you can see the many types of cabbage. Examples of artificial selection. Modern corn. Traditional selective breeding methods have limitations in changes of the organism genotype. Methods of cell and genetic engineering and biotechnology offer great opportunities for creation of organisms with new combinations of heritable traits. Genetic engineering, it is the focused transfer of necessary genes from one species of living organism to another one. Cell engineering is based on the cultivation of individual cell or tissue on artificial nutrient media.
The selective breeding. From Latin, selectio, selection, choice. It is a science which develops the methods to create varieties and hybrids of agricultural crops, livestock breeds, and strains of microorganisms with the desired characteristics. Selective breeding is the process of changing domestic animals and cultivated plants. According to Anne Vavilov, represents the evolution directed by the will of man. Selection means the selection of existing plant varieties, animal breeds, and strains of microorganisms. The main methods of selection are artificial selection and crossing or hybridization. These methods are typically combined. Depending on the mode of species reproduction, the mass or individual selections is used. Mass selection of species with the desired characteristics is used for the cross-pollination of plants. Otherwise, the material for further crossing cannot be obtained. Thus, for example, new varieties of rye are produced. These varieties are not genetically homogeneous. If it is desirable to obtain a pure line that is genetically homogeneous varieties, the individual selection, in which the offspring is produced by self-fertilization of a single individual with desirable traits, is used. This method yielded many varieties of wheat and cabbage. Here are the following types of plant hybridization. Closely related. Inbreeding. Forced self-pollination of cross-pollinated plants. Most genes transfer to the homozygous state and inbreeding depression occurs. Unrelated or outbreeding. Interspecies crossing. Intraspecific crossing, which is the crossbreeding of individuals of different varieties but one species. Interspecies crossing, which is the crossing of individuals of different species and genus. or intergeneric crossing. Interstrain crossing, or outbreeding, is to achieve the heterosis effect of hybrid vigor, the cause of which is the lack of manifestation of recessive alleles in the heterozygous state. Interspecies crossing allows a combination of features in a single body which are specific for the different plant species and even genera. Polyploidy is the multiplication in the numbers of chromosomes. Artificial mutagenesis is making changes to the nucleotide sequence of the DNA, or mutations.
Scientists Butarin, Yusynzholov, and Jan Derkin have derived a sheep-breeded Arhara merinos from crossing a wild Argali with a fine fleece sheep using a remote crossing methods. Under the guidance of academician Mohammed Khalif, a lamb has been derived by the transplantation method to the first time in Kazakhstan. Under the guidance of Baumont, a fine fleeced Kazakh sheep breed has been discovered. Under the guidance of Musin, Galyakbarov, and other scientists, a Kazakh white-headed cow breed has been discovered. And under the guidance of Pak, in Alatau, cow breed has been discovered. As you see, selection helps in the domestication of animals and plant cultivation. Thank you for your attention.